Welcome back. My name is Henrik Holmer. I'm an analyst here at Erik, and I'm here to present the next company, which is Cell Impact, who plays an important role in the making of hydrogen fuel cells. And the presenter of the company is CEO Pär Teike. So welcome, Pär.
Thank you, Henrik, and thank you for the opportunity to present here today. It's great to re-engage with the investor community after 2021, which towards the end was a capital raising phase for us, and we had to go off the radar screen a bit. But what is better than to start 2022 with a strengthened balance sheet and the possibility to look ahead and then start to develop and drive the business again. Just let me clarify here, Cell Impact is not making fuel cells, but we are making a critical component for fuel cells and electrolysis equipment, and that is called a flow plate, which we will talk about today, and also some of the very important production technology that Cell Impact uses when we produce that flow plate. So we can go to the next page. Just a few quick facts about Cell Impact. We were founded in 1999, so we've been around for some time. We've been listed on Nasdaq since 2013. We have a production facility in Karlskoga, Sweden, and we have our business done with the fuel cell and electrolysis equipment makers. Our customers are primarily in China, Japan, North America. And today we are around about 100 employees, and we build our business on patents that will take us up to 2035. As you can see in the picture here, we do have a presence outside Sweden. We have a presence in Germany, in China, and in Japan. Next, please. So hydrogen is key to decarbonization, and we are happy to be able to support the green hydrogen industry. This is an industry that's going to play a key role in reaching or mitigating climate change targets. It is an emerging $11 trillion economy long term. This is not a vision of the future, it's here and it's accelerating at a great pace right now. A few press clippings here in this picture to signify how intense this development is and how well spread it is also globally. Hydrogen Council, which is the industry forum for fuel cells and electrolysis makers, says that right now there is around about $500 billion worth of projects in the pipeline that is aimed at rolling out green hydrogen production. Next. And Cell Impact, we play a critical part in this, in the sense that we produce and supply a critical component, and that is called a flow plate. And this one is made out of stainless steel or titanium typically. It is not just one of a kind of or just any metal plate. It is really a very difficult one to produce. It comes with extreme precision. It is formed with advanced geometries. It can be coated with all kinds of materials, gold, graphite, and the like. And it has a size of around about an A4 size, and it is recyclable. Thank you. Next. And one of our key applications then is the fuel cell. And as I said before, we supply a critical component for the fuel cell. The fuel cell is a system. It consists of, amongst other things, a stack. And the stack can be likened to a battery. Our flow plates are put together to something that is called a bipolar flow plate. And that in its own right is a little bit like a battery cell, one can say. And then we aggregate up these bipolar plates to, in total, signify a certain power expressed in kilowatts in a stack. And once the stack is aggregated, it goes into a fuel cell system. And this fuel cell can go into a number of different applications, The one that is spoken about the most is perhaps cars and buses and trucks and so forth. And the good thing with the fuel cell is that it's made of recyclable materials that are just around the corner, mostly, and it emits nothing else but water or steam. We go to next. Last year, we decided that we will take on another application area as a new business segment, and that is electrolysis equipment. Electrolysis equipment is used to make hydrogen, and when hydrogen is made to be green, it is made out of renewable resources. And due to the fact that now there is a lot of action, government action, big corporate action to enact net zero programs, this is going to be one very nice growing business segment for us going forward. And we target something that is called PEM electrolysis. And the good thing here is that this is basically a bit like the fuel cell that we are targeting as well. So we can see that we can use our technology, production technology, our knowledge, and supply also flow plates for this segment, which is going to start to grow now and accelerate as we go into the future. And I think that by 2030, the segment that we are targeting, the PEM electrolysis, will probably be one of the bigger application areas in the electrolysis area. Next. So just a little recap of Cell Impact. Some of you listening in today have been listening to our presentations before, and some of you would be new. But I'd like to say that the business that we are engaged in today comes from a new strategy that we enacted in 2018. So we went from being a machinery developer to a flow plate producer and supplier. And we changed this strategy in a hurry. We converted a number of inquiries that we had from high quality accounts, and we started to develop, and we were around about 15 employees. We then moved to a new facility in 2020, started to build up a production footprint that was good enough to follow our customers and their demands. And then during 2021, we have continued to increase capacity and ramp up production. And we also received a very nice validation order, as we would like to see it, from Plug Power, the leader in the hydrogen fuel cell industry, and a company that we target to grow with going into the future. And we left 2021 with around about 100 employees. And now then, with a strengthened balance sheet, we look to the next phase, which will be a phase where we will introduce more capabilities to please existing customers and new customers, we hope, and we will drive productivity going forward. And we are also working on various internationalization efforts. As you could see from the map, we are in Japan, China, and Germany, and perhaps there are some other places in the pipeline as well. Next. So in 2018, we changed the strategy, and as you can see in the sales graph here, something happened in 2018. There seemed to be a receipt that we were on the right track. There was a need for our type of production technology, and we have developed going forward. And looking at a somewhat old figure now, but last September on a 12-month rolling basis, we are trending towards 70 million Swedish crowns in turnover then. And again, Plug Power and some of the other customers that we have within the fuel cell domain drove this development forward. Next. So if you look at, it says here achievements 2022, I'm sorry for that. It should of course be achievements 2021. We are a little bit fast here. But 2021 then was an intensive year. We built up a large part of the factory that you see in the background here. We almost tripled the number of employees. We ramped up production, and we increased sales of flow plates. And we raised 350 million SEK in new capital before cost. And very pleasing, we enter into 2022 for the first time with a solid order book that underpins the activity and the operation that we have built up going into 2022. Next. So the market applications that we are working on are very much right now done within the logistical area. It could be forklifts, smaller trucks, but also some buses. When we go forward, we will grow with our existing customers and we will grow into other application areas, and we will do so also with current prospects that we hope to convert to customers in some time. And on the horizon then we have the automotive segments, cars and trucks, but also aviation. Fuel cells are very suited for aviation, but we also have electrolysis done that we think will be a major segment for us going forward. Next. So the key point with our business is that we supply many flow plates for one stack. If we take an example like a car program that involves 100,000 vehicles, and if we assume that we use 500 flow plates, single flow plates as it is expressed here, then this will generate 50 million flow plates. This is a very large quantity, and this means that also for this quantity then there will be a need for some give and take 6 to 7 production lines. This is a great challenge to scale up, and this is the industry's challenge when they look at the building of fuel cell systems. And this is the key challenge, I would say, in the fuel cell area because of the large number of flow plates in a fuel cell. And we will look to the future. There will be perhaps 1 to 2 billion flow plates manufactured by 2030 only for fuel cells. So there is an enormous challenge for the industry to address and solve this multiplication factor that arises from the many flow plates that goes into a fuel cell. We go to the next slide. So when Cell Impact produces its flow plates, we use a production technology, a forming technology that Cell Impact have developed over the years. And the competitive advantage that we have arises from the fact that our competition usually uses what you see here in the picture, namely the orange machine. This is a very big, bulky machine that costs a lot to buy and also to operate. And when we install one of these equipments, we need to make a significant factory accommodation project. As you can see in the picture here, the small Cell Impact equipment is 3 by 3 by 3. We don't need to embed this one in the floor. We can put it directly on a solid industrial floor, and it's very nimble, very, comparatively speaking, easy to operate, and it comes with low capex. Next. So this is Cell Impact's answer to the industry's biggest challenge to scale up fuel cell manufacturing and to scale up the production of the stack that goes into the fuel cell. We have the Cell Impact forming, as we call it. It is, as I said before, small in terms of its footprint, but it's also quick to build once we have the supply chain for the components up and running. And we think that we will be able to assemble this one in a mere number of weeks, which is then very good, because when we compare with lead times to avail of the orange machine here that I showed you in the previous picture, that is going to come with a very much shorter lead time, which will support ourselves and our customers in our business development. But there are also other positive things with this one. It has very low power and water consumption. Capex is low, perhaps up to 50% compared to competing technology. Similarly so OPEX, and we have a low recurring tooling cost as well, which is one of the key cost drivers with this kind of forming process. And we make these plates with excellent quality outcomes. Next. So Cell Impact has since some time back had financial targets that we have stated publicly, and 2022 then, we are targeting to reach sales between 100 and 150 million Swedish crowns. 2024, 250 to 300 million SEK. And we target an EBITDA margin of 15% or more in a medium term, and positive operational cash flow as well from 2022. However, there are many things happening in our industry, so we need to be flexible, and this may result in that we may proceed with our business in a slightly different way compared to our financial targets. But the long-term aim is to grow the company and of course to capitalize on the many opportunities that arises now from an entire world committed to green hydrogen and what follows as a result of that. Next. So with Cell Impact and a company within the growing hydrogen economy, we see a very strong market driven by climate, but of course also health and energy issues. We have already, despite our youth, a high-profile international customer base that we intend to capitalize on and grow with them, satisfy their needs. And we have a unique scalable forming technology that we are making available for the industry. And we have an ambitious growth plan going forward. Next. So that was it. So thank you very much for the time, and I now look forward to take some questions then.
Okay, thank you very much, Pär. Very interesting presentation. I have some questions, and we also have got some questions from the web. To start with, we can talk a bit about your customers. You have a limited number of, but some large customers today. Do you go to the customers or do they come to you? If you can talk about your role in the value chain.
I think it's both. Some of the customers that we have done their homework in terms of scalability, and they have looked at the conventional forming and they have compared it with the opportunity that Cell Impact Forming presents, and they have decided that this is so interesting that despite our size, we're going to have to give this a try and work with Cell Impact with a view to exploit this opportunity long term. Then, of course, as we have a little bit come of age and we have traction now, we are also able to ourselves engage in prospecting new opportunities. So we ourselves are, of course, proactive more now than before, when we had a very intense internal focus to set the stage for us as a producer of flow plates. But yes, right now then we are proactively seeking up opportunities, but we still today also see companies making contact with us, wishing to explore what is Cell Impact Forming and what is it that we can do for them to support them in their business. Okay.
And you talked a bit about your technology versus competitive technology, and your Cell Impact Forming, and in the area generally, is there any more interesting innovation right now? And do you have a next step in developing your product?
I think Cell Impact Forming then is something that will be continuously and incrementally now then developed, and we will develop this forming technology to suit different needs. We have spoken about the electrolysis equipment. The plates there are a little bit different. There are some other plates in solid oxide fuel cells, for example, that we seem to be able to form. So bit by bit, we will develop Cell Impact Forming to grasp a larger business opportunity, if you wish. But it's also important to bear in mind that we are developing an entire production system for flow plate manufacturing, and we are trying to identify or even develop ourselves smart process technologies that will give us a competitive advantage and hopefully one that is durable also. And this is the reason too why we have raised the capital that we have raised last year. so that we can take the next step and rationalize and also add some new capabilities that we know our prospects is looking for.
Okay. And there are many interesting segments where fuel cell technology can be used. What do you see are the greatest or the biggest challenges or maybe bottlenecks for this for the fuel cell technology to scale up and be used broadly and globally?
Yeah, I think the key hurdle will be the lack of hydrogen, green hydrogen that is. There is hydrogen today already. It's used across society in many industrial sectors, hospitals, agriculture and so forth. But the Achilles heel was really the lack of green hydrogen. Now with the European Union making hydrogen a strategic priority, and many other countries as well doing that. There are some 38 countries that have hydrogen as a national priority and a strategy in terms of decarbonizing. And this, of course, is going to make hydrogen available. And that means that we can see, look forward to see more vehicles on the road driven by fuel cells. And we can also see, we'll be able to see fuel cells finding its way into the different applications that I spoke of before here, from airplanes, small ones, big ones, also stationary applications, data centers, for example. It might be noteworthy as well that one of the driving forces behind fuel cells, I think, will be 5G and the data explosion that we see as a result of that. So fuel cells will, thanks to the efforts now being made to make hydrogen available in across the globe, grow significantly in many different application areas.
Okay. The last months or so, many companies have seen issues in the supply chain with cost inflation and missing parts and so on. Could you talk about what you have seen regarding this? Has this affected you?
Yeah, of course. We have also experienced a fair share of that. And last year we had to really mobilize all out, all in, if you wish, to really bring all the production equipment that we needed to Sweden and install that on time so that we could ramp up and so forth. So there has been a lot of challenges in that area. Thankfully, we have come through a large buildup of production capacity that we will now benefit from when we go into 2022, and we have a solid order book as well. But I can say that in certain areas we have a very proactive activity. We have weekly follow-ups on many key ingredients, if you wish, that are important for our operation. And for example, when it comes to the raw material for our flow plates, I can say that we have a 12-month long order book. We work rigorously with ensuring that the supply chain works and that we have continuity in our business at this very critical juncture for us. And I think that now, unfortunately, with COVID, of course, there's going to be a little bit of challenges coming as well as a result of that. But I think we have learned now to work in this environment quite well. And I think that we will be able to handle also the challenges coming this year, just as we handled them last year.
Okay. And regarding your financial targets that you talked a bit about, you have an EBITDA target of above 15% margin in medium term. Could you elaborate a bit more about what medium term would be?
Yeah, with medium term, I think that realistically we are talking about some 2 to 3 years time frame when we start to hit these kind of levels. And one of the reasons too why it will take a little bit of time to come up to that level, but also, of course, a little bit longer term above that level, is that we need to now embark on phase 2, where we phase in more productive production technology, while at the same time, of course, please our customers with good performance so that we can drive up the volumes. So cost cutting in combination with volumes will improve on the margin going forward. And when we look forward, by the way, then of course, long term, when we look at 2025, 2027, we see a company that should be significantly larger. We target upwards 800 million SEK of turnover somewhere in 2025 to 2027, and a significantly larger output, of course, maybe upwards 18 to 20 million single flow plates. So with that, the EBITDA margin should expand and be significantly better than what we look at here in the medium term.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And what about geographical exposure? You are a global company, and do you see any big differences between the different geographies around the world that affects you specifically?
Yeah, I think there are very different situations in many countries. If you take China, for example, there is a regulatory situation there that points to that you need to be on the ground there to manufacture and supply if you're going to be part of the action. And this is something that we are looking at. We have 2 people on the ground in China. And Asia in general requires a special way of working through the market. You need to be persistent and responsive. So I think that Japan is one of those places that is very demanding, as well as Korea. And then we have the Western area, Europe and North America, where I think that it looks a little bit more like at home. But I think that there are very challenging requirements in the supply chain that present some challenges for us. But it's all, of course, opportunities for us, and we are looking at ways and means to grab the opportunities going forward. And as I indicated before, we do have some internationalization initiatives in the pipe, and we have the countries where we are today, where we are first of all looking at expanding our activity.
Yeah, and how important are policy initiatives like EU Green Deal? Are those crucial for you, or are you, how do you say, is it enough for you to do today, if you understand me?
I think the EU Green Deal as such is very important. I mean, that's the growth impetus to the whole world. I think that this is when we talk about the hydrogen sector, we really talk about before EU Green Deal and after the EU Green Deal. A lot of things are happening as a result of that. But I think that also we can see that many countries are looking at hydrogen as an employment opportunity. And that, of course, means that the value chain also has to be localized. And there could also be a situation where if we are not local in certain areas, we may be at a disadvantage compared to those who are local. So I think that this is an area that is very dynamic and something that we have to follow very closely. And although we are a smaller company, perhaps I hope that we will be able to follow the opportunities as and when they arise around the world. But I think that it is fair to say that wherever you are in the world today, the fact that governments are sponsoring the drive towards green hydrogen, we have a significant aspect there that says localization.
We got a question regarding Japan specifically. What do you see your potential in the Japanese market?
I think Japan is a long-term activity. You tend to meet customer requirements that are severe, I would say. And also, I think what you tend to find in Japan is that the plans are long-term. And I think that when we look at Japan, we are looking at the medium to long-term opportunities as opposed to just around the corner. But it is a very demanding market, and that's also why we have local representation there. We have our own legal entity actually, and one person there that heads up this company, whose full-time mission it is to look after current activity, but also to work on other opportunities.
Okay. And then we have only one more question. The final question is if you could talk about what your main focus will be for the year ahead and yeah, the big events for Cell Impact going into 2022.
Yeah, I think 2022 is about execution. We need to deliver the order book that we have that is challenging. So it's execution, 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 if you wish. And then, of course, we are progressing towards what we call then phase 2. And phase 2 then means that we will take many capex decisions, and these needs to be smart and really contribute towards the long-term competitiveness of the company. And we have great ambitions here. We really do absolutely want to be cutting edge and you know, compare very favorably with other already existing makers in this industry when prospects and customers are evaluating us versus them. So this is going to be one very important area as well. And we are taking great leaps this year compared to last year. And one of the reasons to that is that we have a very good, challenging order book to sink our teeth into, so to speak.
It sounds very exciting. Thank you very much, Pär, for a very good presentation. And thank you all for listening.
Thank you for the opportunity to present.